Okay, so I was just here just working on a couple stuff real quick. But I just had like a epiphany, I guess. Like February is tomorrow. I remember what I was doing for the New Year's. I like it was yesterday. And I just thought about it right now. I was just working on a few ideas and bro, tomorrow is February already. Okay, and this is my thought process, or this is my opinion, or I guess you could say my thinking of why we think time is going by so fast. Okay, so when we're in the present moment, right? Like let's say you're taking a test, right, in school. The time feels so slow, feels super slow because you're in the moment, you're present, and you're thinking, man, I wish this test was over already. I wish this test it was already like 3 o'clock. You have 40 minutes left to take the test, and you're like, bro, I wish I could just be done already. It feels so slow, okay? And a part of that is because you dread tests, okay? I'll give you that. But it's because you're not thinking about anything else. You're just thinking about trying to get the answers right and stuff, right? Now, when we are outside of, let's say, outside of school, when you're in school, you're in the moment and you're like, it feels so slow, right? But let's say outside of school, let's say you're thinking about the future, right? We subconsciously think about the past or the future, usually the future, right? I've been thinking about the future a lot recently. Okay, so when our mind is subconsciously in the future, in the present moment, time is literally passing by without us thinking about it. But our mind is in the future, right? So let's say right now, boom, I'm thinking about the future, right? It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 10 seconds go by, or like even a minute goes by. Depends how long you think. Let's say a minute goes by, and then you bring yourself back in the present. A minute has already passed by. Compound that with like multiple times a day, multiple days of the week, where you keep constantly thinking about the future or thinking about the present because you're not living in the present. You're living in the fantasy land of the future, or you're living of of event in the past, and time is just passing by and passing by in the present moment. Subconsciously, if you're thinking about something in the future and you're like contemplating or overthinking it for like 10 minutes a day, and let's say you think about it like 3 times a day, that's 30 minutes that pass by without you even knowing. Time just passes by when we're just thinking about the future events, the past events, because our mind is there, but then time in the present is just like ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. That's my thoughts on it. May not make sense, but then when we're in the present, we're thinking about every second, every minute. We're there. We're in the present moment, and time just feels like normal. And what I've been realizing is I've been thinking so far into the future, so far into the future. It's like I'm thinking about where I want to be, who I want to become, and time in the present is just subconsciously ticking by, without even knowing, without me knowing, because I'm always thinking about what's gonna happen later on, and that should be something to keep in mind. Even if you don't think it's true, you may not agree with me, but that's what I believe might be happening because we're just idolizing or maybe even worried about what might happen later on when time in the present moment is literally just burning. Think about the whatever you call it, those time capsules things where you have like the sand at the top and then the sand keeps dropping in the bottom. Like think of that. I don't know what the name is, but just think of that. Sand is literally just dropping. You're wasting sand, which is the sand is the present moment because you're just constantly thinking about the sand that's already dropped, or you're thinking about the sand that is it going to drop like years later. You're not thinking about the sand that's dropping right now. And the sand is your time. That's how I just think of it. We must use the sand that's ticking by wisely. Don't think about the sand that's like at the very top of the jar that you're like, oh, what if that gets here, or what if this happens, what if that happens? That's worrying about the future. That's just taking away your present moment, which makes the sand dropping feel like a huge chunk went by because you're always thinking about the sand at the top, or you're thinking about the sand at the bottom. I wish with the sand at the bottom that already dropped, I wish I did this. I wish with the time in the event in the past, I wish I did this. I wish I could change the past. That's what you're thinking, but you can't. You can't. The sand is already dropped. It's there. It's done. You can't put it back up in the capsule or whatever you call those things. You have to use the sand that's dropping currently right now wisely, because we only have a limited time on this earth, and you can't be using that worrying about the sand that's going to drop anyways. The sand at the top is going to drop anyway, so why even worry? We're all going to pass anyways. Use this time in the present wisely because you don't know how much sand you have left. You don't know. We never know. Of course, we're going to try to use as much sand as possible. We want to live until we're like 80, 90, even 100 maybe. Of course. But we don't know that. We don't know anything. We don't know what's going to happen later on. So why even worry and just prepare in the present moment? Prepare now. Take the risks now. There's no point in trying to change the past. I wish I would have done a lot of things different. I wish. But the sand has already dropped. There's no point. You could have probably used it wisely, but you didn't know any better probably at that moment. Or you probably did know better and you just made a mistake. That's how we learn. So that's how I think why we feel like time is passing by so fast is because the more we grow up, the more we like worry about the future, or the more we think about our past and we wish we would have done different things. And that just takes away the sand in the present moment. The time in the present moment just ticks by subconsciously when you're always thinking about, oh, I want to do this in the future. I want to do that in the future. I'm not saying don't have big goals. I'm not saying that. Of course, you should always dream bigger, always set bigger goals, set higher standards. But what I'm saying is, don't like worry so much about it. Just set a goal and just think about what I have to do daily to get there. Okay? That's called a plan. You might not have the perfect plan. I don't have the perfect plan. No one has a perfect plan. The only way to get as close to a perfect plan is to just trial and error. Just keep on trying, and every day you just have to see what works and what doesn't, and see if this is something you want to do, and keep being consistent with it. It takes a long time to see if something works. And it's so discouraging in the moment because you're just wasting your time, wasting your time. You think you're wasting your time, but you're probably heading in the right direction. It's just you need a longer time frame. So, this is just all to say that use this time wisely because this is the youngest that you're going to ever be. This is the youngest that I'm going to ever be. We're only getting older. We're only getting older. Okay? So, stop worrying about the future so much. If people around you are pressuring you, you gotta learn how to live with that. It's going to be hate from other people. It's going to be pressure from other people. It's going to be people saying, you should choose this path. You should choose that path. And don't despise them. Just, my bad, my alarm went off. But, anyways, yeah, just acknowledge them and say, okay. And just collect the information and see what you're going to do with it. That's it. I'm not saying to just ignore everyone. Okay? Everyone in your life right now is probably there for a reason. Either you let them in your life, or maybe it's your family and you didn't have a choice, or maybe it's, you know, people, your friends who brought other friends and now you're friends with them, but regardless, whoever's in your life, it's because you're letting them in your life, or maybe I hope it's not by force, because that'll be a much bigger problem. But the whole point is enjoy now. Don't worry about later, and don't worry about the past. Past you can't change. The future you can change. If you can't change something, why worry? If you can change it, why worry? Change it. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. Of course, it's not easy, but enjoy right now. Enjoy the present. And time's gonna tick by, and you just have to figure out what you're gonna do in the meantime. Time is ticking by at this moment, right now. And if you're watching this right now, I appreciate your time, because time is the most valuable thing that we have right now. Especially when you're just starting out in the beginning, like with anything. Like if let's say you don't even have any money or any friends, you just have time. So don't waste it. And if you're watching this, yeah, I appreciate you again. And so I hope you got something from this video, because that's just my thought process on why we think time is ticking by so fast, or why we think the weeks are just going by just rapidly, and the months and the years. And so if the time is going to pass by anyways, just find something to do. Do something in the meantime and see what works, see what doesn't work. Because we only have a limited amount of sand in this earth. And just a few years after we all pass, everyone's going to forget about us. Even the legends on the planet have been somewhat forgotten subconsciously. Yeah, of course we remember them here and there, but then everyone goes back to their day-to-day life. Everyone has to go to work. Everyone has to eat. Everyone has to cook. They have to do all these things. No matter how significant you are, people need to just go back to their day-to-day lives. So why worry about all the mistakes you make? Why worry about trying to be perfect? No one's perfect. Don't try to be perfect for anyone. Not for your significant other, not for your family. Just be the best version. No one's perfect. Just be the best version for everyone. I hope this gave some clarity. So I'll see you guys in the next one.